Have you ever stumbled upon something so strange that your brain just refused to accept it? Like, you see it, your eyes confirm it, but your mind goes, nope, that can't be real. Now imagine walking through the forest one quiet afternoon. The air is heavy after a drizzle, the soil smells alive, and the ground still glistens from the rain. Then, just as you're about to step over a fallen branch, something pale and slick slides past your boot. You freeze. Your heart thumps. A snake, you think? But then you look closer and both ends look the same. Two heads? No tail? What in the world did you just see? Welcome to Gray Blake, where we discuss real facts that seem totally unbelievable. But they're true. Let's dive into the details right away. Countless explorers, villagers, and naturalists have described their first encounter with one of the strangest creatures on Earth, the Amphisbaena. For centuries, this creature baffled anyone who laid eyes on it. From ancient soldiers to modern biologists, people could never agree on what it really was. Some swore it was a snake cursed by the gods. Others said it was a monster born from Medusa's blood. But what if I told you this snake with two heads isn't a snake at all, it's actually a lizard? Sounds unbelievable, right? Well, brace yourself, because the Amphisbaena might just rewrite what you think you know about life on Earth. Now, let's rewind a bit all the way to ancient Greece. Back then, anything strange in nature had to have a story behind it. When warriors returned from battles in Libya, they carried tales of terrifying serpents that slithered in both directions at once. They said these creatures were born from the drops of Medusa's blood that fell to the sand after Perseus chopped off her head. From those cursed drops, a two-headed snake was born, the Amphisbaena, named from the Greek words amphis meaning both and bainon meaning to go. Literally, the creature that goes both ways. Poets described it as fierce, venomous, able to roll like a wheel, and even feed on corpses left in the desert. It sounded like something straight out of a nightmare. For centuries, that's all people thought. It was a legend. But then, explorers began finding strange, limbless reptiles buried in tropical soil. They looked like snakes, but something was off. Their skin wasn't scaly and smooth like a snake's. It was segmented, ringed like an earthworm. And their faces weren't quite snake-like either. Their eyes were tiny, almost hidden. Their heads were blunt and rounded, nearly identical to their tails. It was like looking at a creature drawn by someone who couldn't decide which side was the front. And so the legend suddenly had proof the Amphisbaena wasn't just a myth after all, but that's where the real mystery began. Because when scientists started studying it, they realized this thing didn't fit neatly into any known box. It wasn't a snake, but it wasn't a typical lizard either. It belonged to its own strange group, the Amphisbaenians, limbless lizards that evolved for a life underground. Imagine an entire branch of evolution that said, you know what? Legs are overrated. So they ditched them. Over millions of years, they reshaped their bodies into sleek, muscular digging machines, able to move forward and backward with ease. Unlike snakes that glide above ground, Amphisbaenas push through dirt like tiny, living drills. And here's where it gets wild. Their movement is completely unique. They don't slither like snakes. Instead, they move using a concertina motion. Their skin is loosely attached to their muscles, so they can push their inner body forward while their skin stays anchored in the soil. Then, like a spring, the outer rings contract, pulling the rest forward. It's like watching a living accordion wiggle through dirt. This design gives them a crazy advantage. They can move both ways almost equally well. That's why people once believed both ends were heads. And honestly, when you see one, it's hard to blame them. But evolution didn't just make the Amphisbaena efficient. It made it tricky. Its tail is shaped almost exactly like its head, complete with a rounded tip and ringed scales that make it hard to tell which end is which. Some species even have a pattern that mimics eyes on the tail. Why? Because predators love to strike from behind. If you can't tell which end bites, you hesitate. And that 1 second of hesitation is all the Amphisbaena needs to disappear underground. That's not just adaptation, that's strategy. A creature that can literally confuse its enemies by pretending both ends are dangerous. Now picture this. Deep under a forest floor in total darkness, an Amphisbaena senses vibrations from a nearby beetle. It doesn't see it. It feels it. Using pressure-sensitive scales along its body, it reads every tremor like Morse code. Then, with a single push of its muscular rings, it bursts through the soil, clamps its jaws, and drags the prey underground. No eyes, no chase, just precision. Nature designed it for ambush, not speed. And down there in the quiet tunnels, speed isn't power, silence is. But for something so elusive, the Amphisbaena has had an enormous impact on human imagination. Medieval bestiaries described it as deadly and mystical. Some said wearing an Amphisbaena around your neck would cure illnesses or protect you from evil. Others believed its bite could kill instantly. In South American folklore, people call it the double-headed snake, and believe killing one brings bad luck. Yet the truth is far more fascinating than any curse. Most Amphisbaenians are harmless, feeding on termites, ants, and worms. They're the unseen pest controllers of the underworld. Without them, underground ecosystems would collapse into chaos. And here's something that still blows scientists' minds. There are over 180 known species of Amphisbaenians spread across Africa, South America, and Europe. Each one slightly different, each adapted to its own environment. Some are pink, others white, some brown and speckled like sand. Their diversity is a quiet reminder that evolution doesn't always need wings or claws to impress. Sometimes it just takes patience. Millions of years of silent tunneling, refining, and surviving. Let's pause for a moment and think about what that means. This creature that once lived in myths and nightmares is actually a product of brilliance, a perfect blend of design and deception. It shows us that nature doesn't care about looking beautiful or terrifying. It only cares about what works. The Amphisbaena isn't trying to trick us for fun. It's doing it to survive. Its fake head, its armor-like skin, its blindness, all are tools crafted by time. Evolution didn't just build it. It sculpted it through trial, error, and pure necessity. And yet, despite all this knowledge, the Amphisbaena remains an enigma. It spends almost all its life underground, rarely surfacing unless heavy rain floods its tunnels. That's when people see it and panic, thinking they've spotted a mutant snake. But what they've actually found is a survivor, one that's been perfecting its act for millions of years. A creature that bridges two worlds, the lizard above and the snake below. Even today, scientists are still trying to fully understand how it perceives its environment without eyes or ears in the traditional sense. Some believe it can detect subtle temperature gradients in the soil, almost like infrared vision, while others think it uses chemical cues similar to snakes' tongue flicks. However it does it, one thing's clear: it's a master of invisibility. Not in the sense of being unseen, but in being unnoticed. It's been here all along, right beneath our feet, living quietly while we told stories about monsters above. And maybe that's what makes the Amphisbaena so fascinating. It's not just its shape or its legend, it's the lesson it teaches. We love to separate myths from science, but sometimes the truth hides right in the middle. A creature born from myth turned out to be real, and the real thing turned out to be stranger than the myth itself. So next time you're walking through a forest after the rain and you see something slithering that looks just a little too symmetrical, take a closer look. You might just be looking at one of nature's best-kept secrets, a lizard pretending to be a two-headed snake, surviving by confusing everything that crosses its path. Because in the end, that's what the world is full of, wonders that make us question what's real, creatures that remind us there's always more hiding beneath the surface. And if you've learned anything from today's story, it's that sometimes the most unbelievable things are completely true. Thanks for watching Gray Blake, where facts sound like myths and myths turn out to be facts. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because next time we're diving into another unbelievable truth you'll have to see to believe.